What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, fired up to be back again with my main man, Stuckey from the Action Network, Big Bets on Campus, Action Network podcast. And it turns out he's about to have a child that turns 99 percentile. Might have a little Trent Williams there in the baby or in the belly. So congrats to you, Stuckey.
Thanks. Yeah, 22nd will be first-time dad. So fingers crossed for good health and everything goes okay. But yeah, he's 99.9 percentile size across the board. So I was just telling you, I'm going to train him to be a tight end that can quarterback sneak. That's the future. Like, I'm going to give him elite quarterback sneak skills. Like, as soon as he's, maybe 3 under center, let's start practicing snaps. I'm kidding. Do whatever he wants. But yeah, it's exciting. And it'll be on a Monday. And the first thing I looked at, I'm a very sick individual, was there's one bowl. It's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in the afternoon. I do have money on it, but so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But we're in the middle of the grind. There's no stopping, kid or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we don't know. We have a loose date, but, if there was a chance, it was like a Monday night. You had that wild card Monday night football game on. We'd have to set up some plans with the hospital. We could be mid delivery. We got Niners Eagles. Monday Night Football. We'll be dialed in. But I mean, we got a lot going on. We're recording this Thursday night. Michigan's in shambles. You got T.J. Watt, who just went to the hospital. You got Phillip Rivers, who's back. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. Let's start in the National Football League. That's a pretty big story. Phillip Rivers. I looked this morning. They're catching 2 touchdowns at Seattle. Do you expect him to be the starting quarterback Sunday afternoon?
I honestly, I usually have a take on most things. I have no idea. I would imagine if Leonard's healthy, he'll play. But I don't know. They must have signed him for a reason. He knows the playbook. If he does, I also have no idea how to price this game. We've never seen anything. We've never seen this. A guy's 45-year-old grandfather has put on a couple pounds. Who hasn't played in 5 years, going to go out and start on the road against one of the best defenses in the NFL. How do you price that? And I don't know. I mean, it's close to impossible. I don't like the look at line for this. Obviously, you got to downgrade the Colts at the last week, upgrade the Seahawks for their win, but it was like 3.5. Is 14 the right number? I couldn't even tell you. I mean, also the Colts secondary is not the same. Charvarius Ward, I don't know if his career is going to be over.
I know, that's awful. 3rd concussion this year. Jesus.
And then you have Sauce Gardner still hurt. DeVaris Buckner's on, so their defense isn't the same. They have an offensive line injury. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what to expect. I don't know if he's going to start. Now, I will say I'll be tuned in, but I won't be betting it. But yeah, you got to watch that. Who's not interested to see how it turns out? It could be a complete disaster, or maybe he's semi-serviceable. I assume he's going to try to look. They're going to try to run Taylor a bunch. The Seahawks know that. He's probably going to throw to Tyler Warren a bunch. Usually, that's what the Seahawks make you do, throw underneath. And like if you're usually a backup does this, they rely on their tight end a lot. But especially if you're like a 45-year-old, you want to get rid of the ball quick. Like, can he get hit? Can he take a hit? That's another question. I have no idea, but it's going to be fascinating to watch. From a betting perspective, your guess is as good as mine. Flip a coin.
Did you have the audio on the Steelers-Ravens game on Sunday morning with all the games going on?
The what? The audio?
Like when you watch a bunch of games, you just choose one game to have the audio on typically, or how do you usually do that?
Well, it's funny that you asked. So normally, yeah, like NFL, unless there's a really big game that I want to watch, then I'll just have that on. But usually I have like red zone on my main with volume, and then the TVs around it with the other games. But sometimes on a college football Saturday or college basketball Saturday, I will and I have to be by myself because someone would.
You're going to say multiple audios going on.
I will have audio on all the TVs, and I will be putting one lower a little bit, and then if you ever walked in to a room when I'm doing this, you'd be like, "What is wrong? You need to lock this person in a psych ward."
You're like Jeffrey Dahmer of football or something.
Every once in a while, I do that because then I can catch more. Like someone will mention like an injury if I'm paying attention here, or, and it's if I'm like really wrapped up in the day and really excited, I'll do that. But it's yeah, usually just one game.
Well, because you're right, because like when there's like 7, 8, 6, however many games going like the morning slate, you just miss stuff. Like if you just watch a game individually, you get pretty good nuggets. Like one thing that they said, like I typically have the audio on the best game in the morning and same in the afternoon with all the other games going around it. But I had it on the Ravens-Steelers game. I was going back and forth Ravens-Steelers and Bengals Bills with the audio. But when they had the audio on for the Steeler game, there was like a stat that guys of 42 years or older, because Rodgers had just turned 42, had played like a combined, I think the number was like 75 career games in the NFL, but 66 of them were Brady. So 67 of them. So it's such a small sample size. That's the thing with Phillip Rivers. It's like, if you remove Brady, it literally never happened with people like 42 years old, let alone 44, who has just been out
with a 4-year break.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's going to be cinema. I'm with you. I might just sprinkle a little on Indy, though. Even if he had been playing, you would say Phillip Rivers kind of a bad matchup, can't move. Their defense is really fast up there, let alone the break. I know his high school team makes sense, right? Shane coached him in.
He knows the playbook. He knows
San Diego.
The scheme.
You run across some guys, like certain people, like for Brady, it was Josh. For Peyton, him and Adam Gase, just like, Shane Steichen, Phillip Rivers, just like a football relationship that you just hit it off and you just talk the rest of your life about football. So I do believe that they probably talk. I think people would be shocked probably how often they actually talk over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Text like daily,
probably
about like, not like family, not about food, or just like simply football. Like it's probably really in-depth geeky. So I think it's a fun story, but let's,
you got to feel bad if you're Brett Rippon though. You're on the practice squad. All the quarterbacks are hurt, and they're like, let's call Phillip Rivers. Yeah, so I'm fascinated to see what happens. I have literally no idea what's going to happen, and I have no idea how to price it. I have no idea how to bet it. It's a pure pass for me, but I will be tuned in.
Remember John Lynch, when Purdy messed up his elbow, said if they would have been able to win that game somehow, the plan was to get Phillip Rivers for the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, he said that a couple years ago.
I never heard that.
Like an off-season interview. Like because they start looking around, again, like these guys, when you're so desperate, like you're not going to go, the ship's not going to go down with Brett Rippon or whoever the 49ers, because by then the 49ers, Purdy was their third-string quarterback. So it was like they had nothing.
Yeah, they had nothing. I mean, McCaffrey was throwing passes.
Yeah, because then even their backup, Josh Johnson, had got injured as well. So it's just like, I do understand Indy, like, are we going to look Jonathan Taylor in the eye and let go down with, at least he can respect our effort? So I in a weird way, I probably would have done the same.
I would have, yeah, that's fascinating. I never even thought about that. If the 49ers had won that game, what they would have done for a team going to the Super Bowl without a quarterback and then having to find one, that would have been super cool. I never heard that Lynch said that. That's amazing.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The holidays are here and the sports schedule is packed tighter than Santa's gift bag. Week 15 football games, bowl games, NBA and college hoops, hockey, and a whole lot more. You know that new customers can sign up and bet $5 on any game, and if it wins, you'll win $150 in bonus bets on top of your winning? How do you beat that? That's holiday magic, baby. Not sure where to place your first bet? Hard Rock Bet just launched a brand new For You page, making it easy to find all your favorite teams, players, and leagues all in one place. Plus, the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sports book whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and Michigan. More states coming near you. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily. Download the Hard Rock Bet app now and make your first deposit. Let's hammer some games. Let's just start with not a great game, pretty big spread. I do think the Cardinals are just kind of circling the drain at this point. They're in shambles. Houston has serious life, right? I mean, they are kind of rolling. I mean, CJ, I don't even know what his box score was last week against the Chiefs, but has a little mojo going. I mean, their defense is pretty incredible. Now, take them to just blow people out. I wouldn't say that's like the Houston Texans MO, but I just think this Cards thing is really starting to fall apart. I mean, they've been blown out a couple times. You and I talked about they were like the best, like 3-8 team in the league. They could have easily been 8-3. I mean, they were probably like 7-8 plays away, but now this thing's getting away from them at Houston. D'Amico, Caserio, CJ, the pass rushers. I mean, their DBs, their team hits so hard. That hit Petrie had across the middle. It's like, God, this feels like an old school throwback team right now. Even I heard D'Amico's like, yeah, sometimes you kind of miss being out there watching these guys flying around. I'm a hammer of the Texans this week, -9.5.
Not my cup of tea. I mean, the Texans, look, they're probably at the peak of their market value. They're coming off games against the Bills, Colts, and Chiefs. Maybe they come out a little flat. I could see they're just not a team I want to bet to win by a lot of margin. Having said that, so like we mentioned the Cardinals, how close they were in every game. I don't know who's going to play for the Cardinals. So they might just have no players available. I mean, you're talking their receivers. They're down to maybe just Michael Wilson. I mean, Marvin Harrison might not play. Weaver. Their offensive line is now in shambles. Like Hernandez is on IR. Christian Jones, Paris Johnson is out there. They're without their tackles. They might be without both guards. Their defense, like Walter Nolan, Thompson, Melton, Mac Wilson's on IR. They are, I mean, even their returners, their kick returner, punt returner, they are. You pull up their injury report. It's a CVS receipt. It's insane on both. It's on all three phases. So, yeah, all the offensive line injuries in particular might just be death for them. So not my cup of tea, but I don't think I'll be betting the Cardinals here. And you're right on the Texans. They are extremely dangerous. I know people will say this about a lot of teams. You don't want to face this team. You don't want to face the Texans if they should get into the playoffs. It looks like the last spot is probably going to be, because if you look at the Texans they're home against the Cardinals, home against the Raiders the next 2 weeks, and then they have the Colts at home.
And we're short in Indy, right? I mean,
yes. I mean, Indy, I think, is done. And the Texans right now sit at 8. They sweep them. They're at 11 wins. They're getting in. And then it comes down to they win the division. The Jags have a couple easy games, but the Jags also go to Denver. So the hardest game on the Texans schedule left is the Chargers. But with the state of the Chargers offensive line, with that defensive line, and it's not like the Chargers have a big home field advantage. That's their road game. Their other three are at home. The Texans are going to be extremely dangerous. Their offense is playing better. Their offensive line has played better in the second half of the year. Also, Woody Marks has given the run game some juice. And then I think one of the best things that happened to the Texans is when Nico Collins went out. They had Nico Collins out. They had Christian Kirk out with injuries. And Stroud was out. These other receivers, these younger receivers had to step up. Guys like Higgins, and now they were able to develop depth at wide receiver, and they have some other reliable options outside of Nico Collins. So while the offense isn't great, you don't need it to be great. You just need this offense to be serviceable. And they're still probably going to struggle to finish drives in the red zone. But this is, I think, for my money, it's the best defense in the NFL. It's nothing fancy. It's, we're going to line up. They're not going to blitz a ton. They're not going to show a ton of exotic looks. Now, D'Amico will change the game plan based on who they're playing, but it's just look at that front, look at the secondary talent, and you don't need to do too much. It's just a sound unit. And yeah, they can hit, they can get after the passer, and they can cover. There's really no weaknesses on that defense. So they get in. And then, like, depending on what happens, like, there's a good chance Mahomes isn't in the playoffs. It looks like Allen will probably be. And by the way, Allen the last 2 years against this Texans defense has been abysmal. They have tortured him and tortured that offensive line. And then you look around and it's like the other quarterbacks are going to be in here, like Lawrence, Nix, May, like all inexperienced young quarterbacks that like this Texans team on with their defense leading the charge can certainly make a run. They are dangerous, and the Cardinals are just so beat up.
I think the one thing that separates, I would say, Houston, Seattle, and Denver is like you could have a good defense if you just have like a good front seven, like a dominant D line, and kind of get by with some random DB. So, I'd say the Rams are somewhat like that. When you have, I mean, I listen, Lassiter's from Georgia, so it's not like he's coming from UC Davis here. But you start turning him into a good player. Stingley is a stud with Petrie. So all of a sudden you got DB talent and dominant pass rushers. There is nothing you can do, right? I mean, that's
the
what
ultimate flex. Like that's like the Seahawks are able to do this too. And the Broncos. The Broncos blitz a lot. Like the Seahawks don't blitz at all, and they can get pressure at an elite rate. Texans can do the same. That gives you so much flexibility. If you can get that is the key to an elite NFL defense in 2025. So you can get pressure without blitzing, and all those teams that you mentioned certainly can do that.
Well, the check downs, when you have elite team speed in your defensive backfield, the check downs, instead of going for 7 yards, get tackled to like 2 yards. You know? So it's like you're not really moving the ball. You can't just dink and dunk them to death because their team speed to get up close is like cushion is actually not a cushion. Like you see some of these slow defenses, guys are wide open. You're like, nothing you can do. That's to me kind of the Rams' downfall is like, do you trust their secondary? Is it good enough? And I don't know.
Yeah, that is the question with the Rams, I think, because in the NFC, as opposed to the NFC is going to be a war, and now you can get away with that against the Eagles. Your secondary issues, although their secondary got roasted for a half. I mean, is that the last time the Eagles' offense looked good? Maybe the Giants game. But you look at the NFC playoffs, the Packers,
Cooper DeJean was locking down. What's his name?
Wait, what's that?
Cooper DeJean was he had some sweet plays against McConkey.
He was he looked great in space there. The Rams. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can get through the NFC. There's not like the Bears are a running team. The Niners can throw it. The Seahawks, they want to run it, but they certainly can throw it. The Bucks are fading. Their offense has been very bad. We'll say they have had some injuries. The Eagles can't throw it, so maybe the Rams. I mean, the Rams' offense is so good it might not matter.
Let's talk about that game because that's another. I'm gonna go. Lions coming off a long week. Get some offensive momentum. They got a lot of team speed. Obviously, St. Brown is a badass. Maybe he wasn't as hurt as we thought, but like I don't think anyone questioned his toughness before that game. So it's like, yeah, I wouldn't shock me at all if he was like 45, 50% and just toughed it out. Jameson Williams has really exploded since Dan Campbell kind of kicked Johnny Morton to the side. And like if you have some secondary issues, obviously the Lions' offensive line is not nearly what it has been the last couple of years, but Gibbs in space. I mean, now Landman's, I don't know, look pretty damn good. But I'm hammering the Lions, this weekend plus 5.5. Again, the Rams are, probably a higher version of the Chargers, but it's not. You wouldn't say exactly a home field advantage, right? At SoFi for
it's not
them.
crazy.
So I do think that extra week. I think also if you're the Lions, like that game against the Cowboys just gave you life. I mean, their season was kind of on the line, and now this is a pretty big Dan Campbell week. But like, assuming Seattle wins, it's not like when you look up at the standings, the Rams are the number 1 seed, but you're playing the Lions, and then what? They have a short week. They got to go to Seattle. I mean, this is a massive 4-day stretch. You would say, I mean, kind of must win if you're just going to I'll give Seattle the benefit of the doubt at home on a short week. So let's just assume you lose that game. All of a sudden, you lose this game against the Lions. 49ers beat the Titans, beat the Bears, beat the Colts. This is a little more jumbled, I think, than people. The casual, I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, Rams going to win the Super Bowl." It's like they're going to be the one of the top seeds. Like, are we sure?
Yeah, it's that is a huge game on Thursday. I'm looking forward to that one next week. I have nothing here. Like I'm pretty close to market. This will probably come down where the Lions could have an advantage is McVay will get a little too conservative at times and maybe like settle for field goals, even though he has an elite offense. And you know that, especially as an underdog, Campbell is going to go balls to the wall and be really aggressive,
Oh
which
yeah,
could
fourth
work to his
downs.
advantage, especially like when you're trying to pull off the upset.
His
So
secondary stinks too, so it's like it's not like he's stopping anybody.
yeah, that's my biggest concern here is can the Lions offensive line hold up against the Rams defensive line? And maybe you get Kirby Joseph back. I think he was at practice today, but you lost Brian Branch, and that secondary with all the injuries that they've had, uh, like, and they play man and they blitz, which is just asking for trouble against Stafford and those receivers. But can the Lions match them scores? Yes, certainly. This will probably come down to like 3 or 4 Lions fourth downs. They are, I think, 0 of their last 7. So maybe they're due to get some fourth downs, but I'm pretty close to market here. Getting Kirby Joseph back would help a lot, though. But I got nothing there. Really good one though, especially for the Lions. Like if you look at the Lions right now, the they have the Steelers at home next week, and we just saw Watt is in the hospital. So hopefully he's okay, but we'll see what happens there. But right now they're in the 8 hole, so they're 1 game out, and they're behind the Bears. And I mean the NFC, man, you could have teams that get to 11 wins and don't get in this year. So they're 1 game back. They're what 5.5, 6 point dogs here. If they lose this, and the Bears play the Browns, they're 7.5 point favorites. They're 2 back, and now they did already beat the Bears. So all you got to do is be 1 back, and then you can catch the Bears in the finale because they play Chicago, but it's outdoors, late December, Goff outdoors, might not be the best spot. And the Lions, they also go to Minnesota, not the easiest place to play. But Chicago, they don't have an easy schedule either because this is going to go right down the wire. Chicago has, they have the Browns this week. You would hope they get that win.
This is a massive game for them.
Yeah, you can't mess this up. You cannot mess this up. But then they have the rematch with the Packers at home. They go to San Francisco and then they host the Lions. So you got the Browns this week. You got to win this game. It's in a tough spot, right? Like sandwiched in between the Packers games after that physical game. I think I might have to take the 7.5 with the Browns. The Browns' offensive line injuries might scare me off. They are like down to they're like 12th combination. Their center just went IR. They might be down both tackles, both guards. The injury report is I think they were all out again today. But I will say this, like the total, this is going to be like 5 degrees. The total is in the 30s. The Bears' run D is really bad. The Browns' run D is really good on the year. Now, maybe last week, they gave up all those rushing yards to the Titans. Maybe Malik Collins, who went on IR, is that important? I doubt he's like Aaron Donald on steroids because like that's what you'd have to assume based on what they did last week without him. I still think they're a really good run defense. So this should be a lower scoring game. It's a tough spot for the Bears. I might take the 7.5 with the better run defense, but the Browns' offensive line issues are scary. But yeah, these NFC races, these games over the next 2 weeks, and a lot of times don't just pencil in the wins. You see this every year in the NFL when you just say like, all right, this one will be a win. It's about next week. You see these teams, especially in week 18, when you like it's a team that's dead, like a team that needs to win. We see at least one upset every year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these next 4 weeks.
See, that's the thing. Like the Lions, the Rams, the Broncos, the Green Bay, you're going to get the best effort by both teams. But like if you're the Bears, you're coming off a loss, but everyone kind of gives you the win because it was pretty impressive. And then you're like, well, we get them at home here in a week. And all of a sudden, Myles Garrett's sacking Caleb Williams a couple times. Junkins busts off a 50-yard run. You're like, wait, we're down 17-10. It's freezing cold late in the third quarter. Things get, like you said, these cold games. It's why, Denver hosting Green Bay. Denver had the equivalent in college, like Saban always did before the Iron Bowl. He would play Mercer. He would play McNeese State or whatever. LSU always did that before they played Alabama. And that game was a joke. You had the Raiders, right? and
I did.
that's an all-timer.
One of the luckiest covers I will ever have in my life. I am sending Christmas cards and flowers to Brandon Jones and his family for that delay of game, and
Who
to
calls
Pete
a delay of
Carroll.
game in that spot with like 5 seconds, 10 seconds left?
Unbelievable. And I'm sending Christmas cards to Pete Carroll for kicking the field goal. I was watching that. I was standing up, so like he completed the pass, and I was like stood up off my couch, and then I saw him like reach over him, and I'm like, are they going to throw a flag? And then the announcers were like, what a silly play, and I saw the flag. So then I'm like, oh my God, kick it, kick it. And then the announcers, they're not showing the sidelines on what they're deciding. The announcers are like, and here comes the field goal team. I was like, but then the better in me is like, he's going to miss it. He's 100% going to miss it. Who's just been tortured for 20 plus years betting. So then I'm on the edge of my seat, like, don't bring me all this way and miss this field goal. And then it was like, I think it was probably had to be the only time in NFL history that a team that lost hit a walk-off field goal.
Did you hear Pete's logic on it? Do you believe like he thought they had a little more time, and did he get an onside kick and then throw a bomb?
I mean, technically, if you had like that, I think he got too much flack for it because number one, what else are you going to do? Like, yeah, if there's 1 second left and then you need like 8-9 seconds, right? Like, and then you have to kick the field goal there because if you try to score a touchdown, the time's going to run out, right? So the only way, if you're down 10, the only way you could ever win, there needs to be like 10 seconds. You have to kick the field goal then, which only takes like 5 seconds. Then you need to onside kick it. And then you need to get the ball back around midfield. And then you run around, throw a Hail Mary. It doesn't matter if time runs out because it's the last play of the game. So from that sense, it makes sense. But with 5 seconds left, it doesn't matter either way. Like what he should have said is just like, we got reps for the field goal team and no one got hurt, right? Like you don't get anyone hurt on a field goal. But I probably will pay for that. The gambling gods will make me pay, but that I will never probably have a cover like that again in my life. But you're right. The Broncos
that's my logic. So Denver gets a little bit of a patsy. That's not like a lot of guys probably hit the town. They don't need to go to the ice bath. Green Bay, Chicago, the second half. I mean, there were plays where guys' paint on the helmet was coming off. That thing was a war zone. I heard a lot of respect for the Bears. Like we knew they were good, but that was like the mental and physical toughness they showed
to fight back too. They were on the brink of getting blown out.
Caleb making plays, Ben Johnson dialing up some plays. It was really impressive. But to me, that's both teams on like Monday. You know, like when players talk about, sometimes I'm not feeling right till Wednesday or Thursday after big games. That has that type feel. Then to go on the road to Denver, especially when you got Chicago next week. Not that I think they're going to have a letdown here because all these games are big. I just think that's a tough physical spot when Denver kind of gets a patsy and you play, I don't know, your most physical game. I mean, especially, they were just coming off the Lions game, which the Lions game, I know it was a short week, but it's much more like Bills-Bengals, right? It's just kind of flinging it around. It's a different toll on your body at the highest level. So I'm going to take Denver as the dog in this spot. I don't feel great about it because, Bo Nix against that defense. But part of it is even at the end of that Bears game, they were just huffing and puffing, right? And rightfully so. I mean, it's these games are freezing cold. There was one visual where Caleb was in the huddle calling the play. You could tell like he has to be because you're not able to get the same wind. He's flying around. I can't even imagine how all those guys felt, which I loved it. I mean, I thought that was like as riveting of a half as we've had this year. Just on the edge of my seat watching that game. The first 2 games were entertaining. The 2 big ones, the Ravens, Baltimore, and Cincy Bengals. That was on a different level from a physical standpoint of like, this feels like mid-January, which I thought Green Bay, I mean, I have money on them to make the Super Bowl, but Chicago, it's like, goddamn, they fucking brought it. So I just wonder if Green Bay can match that intensity for 3 straight weeks because they're going to have to bring it next week again, right?
Yeah, it's not an easy spot for them. Going on the road after that with the Bears again next week. This game similar to the Bears. This game sandwiched in between those 2 huge divisional games. It was a really physical game. Broncos pretty much had, what it amounted to a walkthrough. Broncos, by the way, Broncos have won 10 straight. Patriots have won 10 straight. Both may close as home dogs. With both starting quarterbacks. So without a quarterback injury, that has only happened one time since 1980, and it might happen twice this weekend. The only time it ever happened was not in the regular season. It's the AFC Championship game 2005. Steelers had won 10 straight. We're hosting the Patriots, and Brady were plus 2.5, lost 41-27. It's the only time it happened since 1980. Might have it twice this weekend. I did, from a matchup perspective, I like the Packers are going to play a lot of zone. Nick struggles a lot more against zone. The Broncos are going to play a lot of man, single high. Love is really good against that. So there's some matchup things that I like for the Packers here, and I'm getting the better quarterback. But from a spot perspective, home dog, it's won 10 straight. Getting the Packers in a tougher spot. I don't hate your logic.
One thing is, Ben, the Midwest Kyle, is just he'll just run it till the cows come home. Let's face it, Sean likes to pass. Sean's just not gonna. Sean's Andy Reid, right? Ben will just. At the end of the day, he would run it 50 times a game if it's working, and that worked to his benefit in that game because it wears you down. That's Kyle's whole logic of the Shanahan family is in these big games when we're all equals in cold weather. You're not just going to throw for 400 yards, right? And it's one of them games, and that's I think why they got back in that game on that long drive, hand the ball off, and I just think Denver. It's like. Sean's like, watch my guy Bo Nix throw another incompletion. That's what makes me nervous. Like you said, this game is the Bills were in major trouble, bro. The Bengals were driving, and I thought it was 28-25. I'm like, he's going to score. They're going to be down 10 points. This is how this thing's kind of going to end for them.
It was 28-18 before then.
Just smoke. You're right. And that pick was just, it was your mouth hits the floor moment. And then obviously the next play, there's another one that's a little freakier, but that saved their season. And now, I know you like the Bills. I think a lot of people are going to hammer the Bills in this spot. They're just not very good on defense. Now, the New England, Joe Burrow looked like LSU Joe Burrow. He came out that game in the beginning, those first couple drives, like, holy shit, he's good, And, can Drake Maye do that? He's been doing that against easier competition. I just think the Bills defense really scares me. They are, to me, closer to like a Lions operation. Now, they got this quarterback who's superhuman. He had a couple runs in that game. It's like, are there even defenders around? Like, where are you guys? He had like one that should have just been like a first down for it was like a big third down. He just kept running. It's like, where is everybody? It's crazy.
That was one of my favorite bets that I placed this year to watch. I had the over. I got SVP shouted me out on Bad Beats the other day for a snover. I've been talking about snovers for like 15 years, which is when there's like an inch of snow on the ground. So you can't have like a foot because then you can't move. But there's like an inch of snow on the ground, and there's not a lot of winds. These games historically have gone over at like a 63-64% clip. And a lot of times the total
didn't Shady McCoy have a big game in the
Shady
snow?
McCoy, the defenders, number one, you can't. Brady always talked about this, how he loved playing in the snow. They were up like 35-0 at the end of the first half in a snowstorm against the Titans, I think, one year. At the end of the first quarter. It was like with Moss, they scored like on their five touchdowns on 5 drives in like the first quarter. But you as a D back, the receiver knows where they're going. So you can't it's a running back too. If you're a linebacker, they know where they're cutting. Pass rushers can't get any footing. So quarterback has all day. They know where the receivers are going. And we saw that last week. And like elite quarterbacks in the snow without wind it was just awesome to watch. No, I do like the Bills here. Look, the Bills defense does have issues. And it's nowhere close to an elite unit. We'll see if they get Bosa back, which will help. But the Patriots, their offensive line, they're going to be without their left tackle. I think that's big because the Bills can still get pressure, especially if Bosa's back. And their left tackle, their rookie Campbell, has been playing well. Now they have Vidarian Lowe, who's not very good and might be a major issue in this game. The other thing, there's a couple things what I like here. But number one, I just need Josh Allen to win the game. There's not many quarterbacks, if any, that I trust right at this moment to go out there and get me a win if I need it. And for what it's worth, in his career, if he's a dog or a favorite of less than 3, so I just need him to win the game, he's 30-14 against the spread. Historically, only Brady and Breeze are better. He's 18-8-2 against the spread in that spot. And just overall, when the spread's between 3-3, so like competitive game, he's 19-7 against the spread, 73%. But the Patriots, look, they've been great. May's been great, but they've also been a little bit lucky. They're 14 of 18 on fourth downs, number one in the NFL. Their opponents are 7 of 22. That stuff adds up. They've also had 15 fumbles, only lost 7. They've recovered 70% of their opponents' fumbles. Here's where I think, and when they met the first time, the Patriots did beat the Bills in Buffalo, to their credit. But Buffalo had 11 penalties and 3 turnovers, and the Patriots won on a walk-off field goal. The Patriots' run defense was also playing at an elite level at the time, but they've lost Milton Williams. And since week 11, they're 31st in rush success rate allowed. So I think the Bills will be able to get their run game going a bit more. And one of the biggest problems with the Patriots, because look, the Bills are going to play a lot of zone. May's been shredding zone. One of the biggest problems with the Patriots, so they're going to move the ball. But where the Patriots really have issues is in the red zone. When the field shrinks, because May's deep ball has been amazing. The Patriots on the season are 24th in red zone touchdown percentage on offense. They're dead last on defense. So I think the Bills are going to be able to finish off drives. Look, they had a pick last time. They had a Cook fumble that killed 2 long drives. And this Patriots run D is just not the same. So I think the Bills go into Foxborough and get it done. I will say Vrabel has been very good. He's 6-0 against the spread off of a bye. Patriots coming off of a bye here, but I'm going to trust Allen to get it done, make this race a little more interesting. Although all the Patriots have to do is beat the Dolphins and the Jets at home, and then no matter what happens in this game, they will win the division. They also go to Baltimore next. But I think the Bills get it done. Should be a really, really fun game.
Okay, I shorted JJ McCarthy last week. You did not. Well, you just took the Vikings. You weren't necessarily believing.
Yes, I wasn't buying McCarthy.
He actually had, a pretty solid game for his standard. Obviously, they're playing the Commanders, who part of your logic was, bro, this is the worst defensive secondary you might ever see, and that was true. Threw a bunch of touchdowns. Little different animal going into Dallas, coming off a loss, long week. I mean, even if the Eagles, which they should, take care of the Raiders, they still have life, right? And they're still alive. Jerry even talked about, I saw some quotes this week. So is JJ McCarthy going to have back-to-back weeks where he's like throwing touchdowns? So I guess I'm just going to stick with that logic. I know I got burned once, but I'm going to take the Cowboys in this spot, -5.5, Sunday Night Football.
Again, different number, but I'm against you. I have some Vikings. I just think the line's too high. This Dallas defense, it's better with Quinn Williams, but it's still not trustworthy. The Vikings offensive line's getting healthier. Their defense is still a problem. I think it's a bit too many. We're asking Dallas to win by margin here. I think this is getting too high. Am I going to be nervous about McCarthy? Yeah. But O'Connell told him to just go out there, let it rip. And he saw his mechanical issues, especially throwing left, and he looked a little better. So he'll at least have some confidence here. We'll see. We'll see if CeeDee Lamb goes with his concussion. I didn't see his status today. I thought he was definitely going to be out the way that he was fencing. But, by the way, one last note. The Patriots have 10 wins. 7 of the quarterbacks they beat are either rookies or no longer the quarterbacks. They beat Dart, Bryce Young, Flacco without Chase, Fields, Penix, Gabriel, Ward, Rattler, Tua, and Baker. I mean, that's as easy as it gets. It's the easiest schedule in the NFL by far. But I do think the Cowboys might have life if they win this game. They host the Chargers, who are in trouble. I really like the Chiefs this weekend. We can talk about that next. But this Eagles team is broken, and it really reminds me of 2023. And in 2023, it was with Brian Johnson, coordinator, much maligned. Right, the offense had major issues. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone knew it. Now they started off hot. They won a bunch. They won something in overtime. They won a bunch of close games, and I remember they beat the Commanders in overtime. They beat the Bills in overtime in a game that they should have lost 10 times. And they started off, I think, 10-1, 9-1, so even better than this year. And then they fell apart. They lost 5 of their last 6. They lost the division to the Cowboys, and then they got blown out in Tampa, 32-9. It's the same exact vibes. I mean, and by the way, that year, they lost as an 11.5-point favorite in December at
Right.
home after a Monday night game to the Cardinals.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That when
The
Kyler
crowd
was
was,
running around. It was. Didn't they have a big comeback? The Cardinals.
yes. They also lost in December to a Pete Carroll team with a Geno Smith backup. They lost to the Seahawks when Geno was out and Drew Lock beat them in this meltdown.
Jackson Smith game-winning touchdown, right side of the end zone. It was a
Yep.
dime.
So,
He had two
yeah.
dimes. Remember, he had to drive the whole field. He had DK on a bomb, and then he had Jackson Smith for the walk-off.
Yes. I
That
think it was a
game was
night game.
sick. Yeah, it was Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Did you see today? And I don't think this is random. Jeffrey Lurie gave a bunch of. He did an article with Mike Silver, and I think he wants to like support and show like, hey, we're not giving up, because he had some quotes when Silver asked him if this season's like anything a couple years ago, and he said nothing like it. Absolute opposite. We have a Super Bowl defense and great special teams. Our offense will get it going. I'm not worried at all. He also said on the turnovers, we had a lot of turnovers, but some of them were flukes.
Wow. Well, turning it over 2 times, first quarterback in the
Their
NFL.
defense with Patricia was leaking oil too that year, right?
Yes. Yes, it was. Yeah,
Bradbury.
their defense was falling apart at the end of the season. I mean, they gave up like 30 something to the Cardinals in that loss. They let Drew Lock come back on them. They got destroyed at the Giants. They got destroyed at Dallas. They were giving up. They got against the 49ers. Remember the 49ers? And that's what it all started, the slide. The 49ers put up like 45 on them in Philly. It was like 45-17. So their defense now is more Super Bowl caliber, but the offense to me might be more broken. Like it
is.
I don't know how you fix it.
The star receiver doesn't like the quarterback. I mean, it's evident. And
the offensive line is way worse and injured. And yeah, the play calling, it's just a bunch of hitch routes. There's no creativity. Hurts isn't running the ball at all. Like, that's one of his biggest assets.
He won't.
His legs.
He's like Anthony Davis, who wants to be a power forward, not a center. Jalen Hurts wants to be like Joe Burrow, and he's not. Like Justin Herbert with a broken hand was like, you want to run the plays you used to call in San Francisco for Kaepernick? I'll do it. Like, whatever.
Yep.
Hurts does not. They just call pocket passes. I mean,
it's like that's like Russ at the end of his career when he tried to just be a pure, and that's not what makes Russ, and Russ can't do that, right? Like this isn't what, like, Hurts isn't going to be the guy that sits there like Burrow and just he needs to use his legs. It's one of his assets that puts the defense in conflict, also makes the running game go more. So they have all kinds of issues. Would it shock me if they got upset by the Raiders? Probably. The Raiders are so bad, but I do think with Pickett, he can at least move around, which you need to do. Like Geno just takes crippling sacks. Pickett can at least move around, move outside the pocket, because the Raiders' offensive line is one of the worst I've ever seen with the injuries.
What's crazy about Jalen, too, as a runner is like his running back instincts are like a running back. Like he doesn't take big shots when he's in the space. He's got a very instinctive like feel, when he's outside the tackle box moving, and he's actually really good at it. Like, I mean, it's, avoiding hits. It's not like he's getting mollywopped like down the field like Lamar when he was younger. Like he's pretty natural at avoiding it. So it's not like, and it's 2025. This isn't 1987. You're not going to get killed. So like, and he got $250 million. So it's like, what? I don't understand, but clearly that is an emphasis. We don't do this anymore. Like we don't run those plays.
Yeah.
Like we ain't like, I would like institute like the option with him and Saquon and probably dominate.
Yeah. You got to have some elements of it. They need to use some play action, some motion, like more under the center, but they're
Herbert's
just not.
legs killed the Eagles. I mean, he saved the game.
Yep. So yeah, they play the Commanders twice there. And then they played their schedule is fairly conducive here, but if they drop one of the games, the most likely game that they'll lose if the Cowboys can win out is at Buffalo. Like I don't see them winning at the Bills with the state of their offense right now. But are they going to sweep Washington? I don't know. Yeah, this team, like the way that they play, they can't get margin in anybody. But by the way, like the Cowboys, so the Cowboys need to win out. I don't think that the Eagles are going to lose out with their schedule. So the
If
Cowboys need
they,
to win
bro, if
out.
they lose to the Raiders this weekend, that
It's
would not
over.
be a safe environment walking to that train. From that
No.
point.
Petullo better start getting the cleaning supplies for the eggs on his house. Um, so can the Cowboys win out? I mean, they're at the Commanders, at the Giants to end the year. Those won't be easy games because those are like division rivals that'll be up for those games. But they host the Vikings this week, and then they host the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are done. Like the Chargers, they got to win over the Eagles. They were outgained by 130 yards. They averaged 3.8 yards per play. They had 5 turnovers. The Eagles turned over 5 times, and they had the ball in overtime at the 10 with a chance to win. So, and why is that? Well, you have the Herbert hand. So I really like the Chiefs this week. The Chiefs haven't covered in 5 straight. I think this is the bottom market. Now they've taken some money. It's a 5.5 now. Anything under 6. It's a short week for the Chargers, going on the road, outdoors, and like it's going to be like 0 degrees. It's probably not great for Herbert's hand. But this offense right now is incapable of functioning, especially on the road with the state of their offensive line. It's decrepit. I mean, and what they've done on the road this year since their offensive line injuries, they lost by 30 at Jacksonville. They lost at the Giants. They barely beat the Titans, and they barely beat the Dolphins. That's what they've done on the road. And then if you look since week 4, since they've had the offensive line injuries, the Chiefs are 5th in EPA per play on offense. The Chargers are 25th. Like this is a trending to a bottom 10 offense. They gave up a 70% pressure rate, the highest of any game this year, to the Eagles, who didn't have Jalen Carter. And Herbert got sacked 7 times. The Chiefs have a higher pressure rate than the Eagles, even when they do have Jalen Carter. So the Chargers also play the highest rate of zone in the league. This Chiefs offense has issues. The receivers are really struggling to get separation in man, but against zone, I mean, their EPA per play is 75% higher against zone than it is versus man. They can still dink and dunk it down the field. The Chargers want to present explosive plays. I think this is a great spot to back the Chiefs. They've had the much tougher schedule. They're 40 points better, net points better than the Chargers. Short week on the road in the cold. Herbert with his hand. Offensive line is a disaster. Chiefs can still get pressure. Chiefs have some offensive line injuries, but the Chargers aren't the team that's going to – they're not the Texans. I think they're like 23rd in pressure rate. I think this is the time to buy the Chiefs. And it could get interesting. The Chiefs, in order to make the playoffs, I put a little couch change bet on the Chiefs to make the playoffs. I think they're like 5-1. Obviously, they need to win out. So if they win out, they get to 10-7. And we're assuming the Colts are done, so we can throw them out. I think the Texans are in, the Jags are in, the Bills are in, the Pats and the Broncos. So, and then the winner of the AFC North. So then I think the last spot comes down to the Chargers versus the Chiefs. So you might say, well, the Chargers have 9 wins, the Chiefs have 6. That's true, but Chiefs host them this week, could close the gap to 2. Then the Chargers are at the Cowboys, won't be easy. Home against the Texans, with the state of their offensive line, that's not going to be easy. And then they're at the Broncos. With the state of their offensive line, that's not going to be easy. And then the Chiefs have the Broncos at home next week, or one of the games. And then they're at the Raiders and at the Titans. I think if the Chiefs win this week, they're going to win out. So the question then becomes, can the Chargers win 2 of their last 3 against the Cowboys on the road, the Texans at home, and at Denver? There's a chance that Denver is playing in week 18 against the Chargers with a chance to clinch the 1 seed. And if they do, they let the Chiefs in, who they would play if the Chiefs win the first game, which is just amazing drama. Chiefs are about to miss the playoffs.
Could also be in a position where maybe they know they're going to be the 2 seed, and would they rather just rematch the Chargers?
Yes, there's a chance. It depends on what the Patriots do, too. So the Patriots and Broncos are the same record, but the Broncos have the tiebreaker. And by the way, in that scenario that I just mentioned, if the Chiefs and the Chargers finish with 10 wins, the Chiefs win the tiebreaker on common games, assuming the Chargers lose at Denver and at the Chiefs.
Is that the first tiebreaker for a division?
Division record, which would be, at first it's head-to-head, then division record. Whatever I just described, they finished 10 because they split. They would have the same division record, assuming the Chargers lose at the Broncos. and then it would come down to common opponents, and the Chiefs would win. So they're not dead. I could see the Chargers going 0-4. Like,
Yeah.
couldn't you at Denver, at Dallas, at KC, and home against Houston with their
That's why
offensive
that loss to
line?
Philly was so bad, or that loss for Philly, because it's like they have no business beating you. You can't lose to a team with no offensive line, a quarterback with a broken hand. You
No,
can't
yeah,
have
that bad
and
omen.
their running back. Like I I didn't watch much North Carolina football, but all my buddies in the league like this guy. I remember watching like highlights of him. I'm like, okay, and then they take him in the first round. Even before he got injured, there's something he just doesn't look very fast. Now I'm not going to judge him in that Eagle game coming off the injury, but it's not like, I mean, I would say the running back crew so far this year, it's like, I'd rather have Manunjai in like the seventh than some of these guys going in the first. This is why people are adamant, like, don't take these guys high. For every Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson, there are a lot of guys that are whiffs. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, the best running back was a fourth rounder. So I'm with you there. Do you know who wins the tiebreaker of the Texans and the Jags? Do they finish with the same?
So Texans, let's see. By the way, if you're gonna be listening to this after the Thursday night game. The Bucks playing the Falcons is an important game because if the Bucks win tonight, then they will clinch the tiebreaker of the Panthers if they split. So they play each other twice.
I kind of like the Saints in that game. How about you?
Yes, I agree, especially if I can get a three. But if the Bucks lose on Thursday night and the Panthers win against the Saints, and the Panthers split, the Panthers and Bucks split, and they finish tied, the Panthers would win the tiebreaker. But Texans Jags tiebreaker. Um, so
Because assuming the Texans beat the Colts, they would be their division record would be 5-1. The Jags still need to take care of action in the division. They would still need to beat the Colts, and they would need to beat the Titans. So they could both go 5-1 in the division. And
yeah, so
obviously they
if
split.
let's see, I can
It
run
gets a
it.
little complicated. I guess it depends on who you lose to, right? Like who would the Jags? What would happen if they finished with the same record? More than likely, looking at their schedule, it would probably be like the loss to the Colts. But I guess they could lose to the Broncos too. Doesn't it kick into conference record?
So if they finish tied, they're probably that means so they split the series, they split head to head.
Yeah, let's assume Jags lost
Division record,
instead of
they're
the
both five
Broncos
and
to the
one.
yeah.
So then it would come down to common games, also probably tied. Uh, and then it would come down to conference record, where
That Bronco
Houston would
game.
have the edge because they're if it plays out like we say, that Houston would be 11-2, Jags 10-3.
That Bronco game's big. So the
Huge.
Texans have legit life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's for those of us that have their future to win the division. It was dead until it wasn't, and now it's
I had the Jags to win the division preseason, and on this week I played it was like plus 350. This week I played uh Texans plus 175.
right now. Who do you think?
They're
If you were betting Seattle or the Rams, who wins that division?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I think common wisdom of people that just talk about football just are like placing the Rams there, and it's like
I
that
can
was
see the
easy.
Seahawks are their defense can beat anyone on any day.
In a weird way too, the Niners, because they play each other, aren't sneaky dead. They've already beat both those two teams. They got the Titans, then they got the Bears, and they got Phillip Rivers. So I mean, and then they play Seattle the last game of the season in San Francisco. So it's their schedule potentially broke. I mean, the Bears game will be hard, but
Yeah,
again,
but
the
with
NFL, you
a
can never just go win. But I mean, are the 49ers off a bye losing the Titans? That feels like impossible, doesn't it?
yeah, the 49ers aren't dead. And you're gonna have one of these teams gets a loss
Yeah, next
um
week.
on Thursday. And the Rams,
Rams better be careful this week.
I agree.
Let's end on the Steelers. Obviously, that news with TJ Watt. I mean, you just not good. I mean, they don't just take random people to the hospital in the middle of the week, something like that. And also, again, I'm not trying to speculate, but sometimes with stuff like that, you're probably more likely to be gone for a while than just like, oh, you just missed a couple days, right?
Yeah. Could be
So I
out for
mean,
the
all of a
year. Who
sudden,
knows?
we see this in the NBA sometimes. Like goes to the hospital, then it's a blood clot, and he's out for 6 weeks. You just never know. They will err on the side of precaution with anything internally. We know that. Now, DK had even Rodgers when he was interviewed after that Ravens game was like, he was just raving about his week of practice. I mean, clearly they got in his ass. Like, bro, we're paying you something. We need you to carry it. He's playing gunner. I mean, it was sweet. He looked pretty awesome. But is he a guy, is doing that week in, week out? Miami. I didn't even know the Jets Dolphins game was going till like the 3-and-out group text was like talking about the game. I'm like, is this game even happening? And I look at the box score. He throws for like 120 yards and they win by 24 points. It's like the Jets. Oh, what a joke. But clearly the Dolphins, if I would have told you on December 11th that the Dolphins, 2 months ago, that the Dolphins and Chiefs would have the same record, would you believe me?
Incredible. No, I thought the Dolphins might have the worst record in the league. McDaniels was going to get fired, and now here they are.
Going to get an extension.
Their run defense is playing really well. A-chain. They're basically just running it, and then they're relying on. Now they've had some easy games. The Bills game was impressive. They
but
caught
Tua throws for like under 150 yards every game.
Yeah, they're just running it, and then their run defense is playing well. Their defense is playing better overall. Can they just line up and run it at the Steelers? I mean, that's what the Bills did. We'll see.
Because you guys aren't dead. I mean, the Ravens.
No, the Ravens played the Steelers. But the Ravens have a tough schedule. The Bengals aren't even dead. I sprinkled some on the Bengals 15, 17 to 1 to win the division. Because if they beat the Ravens this week, there's a chance that 8-9 wins this division. And if the Bengals win out, they finish 8-9. The Ravens still will be stuck at 6 wins. They go to Green Bay, they host New England, and then they go to Pittsburgh. The Steelers go to Detroit next week. They host the Ravens, and then they go to Cleveland. That's not going to be an easy game. Cleveland against their rival wanting to end the Steelers season. And then the Bengals have
Ravens, like the Dolphins, the Cards, and the Browns.
Yeah, so if the Bengals win this week, they're sneaky lie because the 8-9 could win the division. And if the Bengals get there, they would win all the tiebreakers. If they get to 8-9 and all the teams are 8-9, which is funny because they'd win the division record.
Because that Flacco win against the Steelers probably counting pretty big right now.
They would have the best division record. So yeah, but the Ravens aren't dead, but like they need this game. Like host New England, gone to Green Bay, gone to Pittsburgh. It comes down to like, is Lamar he's not healthy. His on target rate, he doesn't have the same burst.
He looks bad.
Yeah. Is there a time where like it's this week, right? Like, okay, all of a sudden he looks like the old Lamar, or does it never come this year? So I don't know. I haven't bet a Ravens game in weeks because of that. It's just hard to know, like, okay, is he at 70? If he's at 60, 70% now, is he going to be at 80% this week? Because he's had like a knee, a ham, a toe injury. So I don't know. But right now, I can't trust the Ravens. And then the scary thing about, like, the Ravens defense is playing well overall. I mean, last week they give up way too many explosive passing plays to Rodgers. You got to give the Steelers credit for hitting them. But they don't get pressure. It's where they miss Matabuke. They don't have elite edge rusher. So like if you can't get pressure on Burrow, he's going to pick anyone apart. So huge game. I think the winner of that game, the Bengals lose, they're done, obviously. But the winner of that game, very live in the division. Steelers, it's a field goal. I think that's about right. Dolphins are playing very well. But in the cold, it's going to be freezing. Tua historically not at his best. But so that's what the key. Can the Steelers run D show up here? Because it's Tua in the cold. You're not going to have, presumably not going to have Watt. They're going to try to give it to A-Chain a million times. That's what the Bills did, and you couldn't stop it. They ran the same play 27 times, but you got to force Tua to throw in the cold here. So they have a huge advantage as far as the weather, because Tua historically has been very, very poor in these conditions.
I'm wearing sandals and shorts. The way you've talked about all these Midwest and Northeast games, there must be a cold front going through, huh?
There's snow on the ground out here in Lexington, so it's not fun.
Well, at least you got Kentucky basketball, which I heard someone say is not going well for the 20.
Not going well.
Spent on that
a lot of grumblings here. So yeah, it's.
I watched some of that BYU, the star freshman that played.
The Bansa, he had an amazing game the other night.
That game
looked incredible.
That second half was sweet.
Yeah, it's they were they played. The funny thing is, this kind of sums up NIL, and like BYU with all their money now has someone who might be the number one pick in the draft. I think if you look at those rosters, they were playing Clemson. Clemson had 2 Mormons on their team and BYU had 1. I think so. But yeah, BYU, go watch. If BYU is on TV, even if you're just like a casual fan of college basketball, if you like the NBA, this kid AJ Devanza, who had like I think he finished with like 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Um, he's a player, legit talent. So, but Michigan is the story of college basketball. They are blowing everybody out of the water.
NIL
So
or just like good team?
good team. Like they hit in the portal. They have a good coach in Dusty May, but they've just been destroying teams. I mean, so they're number one. They're ranked number one analytically. Everyone has them number one. It's so and they might be double digit favorites all the way up until January 30th when they go to Michigan State. So they might be number one and undefeated for a long time. But
I think
yeah,
NIL is sick. I mean, it's just like all of a sudden Texas Tech, suite of football, BYU's got like Kobe
yep.
Bryant on their team. It's like count me in on NIL. It's added a cool little element. Or when people fail and they have a high price, like Texas's boosters are looking around. We're going 9-3, paying $40 million, or Kentucky basketball cutting $25 million checks. Calipari's talking about some dudes paying alimony to his wife on NIL. I mean, it's just this. I'm all for 2025, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun, but when it's not fun, there's
people get
there's
pissed.
the questions and the patience is hey, we're put this all the talking. This is Kentucky is in Lexington. This is what 21 million is. This is what 21 like and
like will that get him fired? Does it get you fired faster?
I don't know. They got to show stuff. It's not good so far.
Okay, Stuckey, enjoy the weekend and have fun watching football. Talk to you soon,
Absolutely.
buddy.
Talk to you guys next week.